One, as always, Michael, you know how we start. We are live.
Real life, great. Hi,
Hi, hello, Michael.
I am doing super. How are you doing, Martin?
I'm doing super well also. Thank you very much.
This is Michael Waitze, and welcome back to eCommerce Undercover. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Martin Ronfort. Martin is the founder of DrTech. I hear DrTech has a lot of features.
Yeah, many features.
What are all these features for, though? Like, why?
It's for like creating the best e-commerce website in the world. So if you want to sell online, you get to go to DrTech.
But what if I already have my own shop, though? Like,
We can
you know, there's
migrate.
other places that do it.
But we can migrate your shop to us for free.
You know, I was on Shopify's website a couple of days ago, and I noticed some spelling errors. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, because you know there's many customers who leave from Shopify to us.
To come to DrTech.
Yeah, so like the revenue, I guess, are coming down. They cannot get some copywriters now, you know. So
Maybe they can't get good copywriters.
oh yeah, so bad.
You know, if they could hire one, if they just put up a website on DrTech,
Yeah,
they can then attract good
we can do that. Yeah,
copywriters.
Maybe we can do that.
I
Yeah.
don't know how this works. We can talk about it later. We are recording today from a different place. Today we're recording at the home of Seven Peaks Software, like in the heart of Bangkok.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally right off of Ronfort, right down the street from us. So this is pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's very amazing. We are
Look
very
around.
lucky that they host us. So once again, thank you very much to them. And yeah, very nice office, very nice location.
I
So
love
great.
it here. And Seven Peaks Software is the premier software development house in Asia, in Southeast Asia, excuse me. Look around. They have 75 developers, highly skilled developers. When we were talking to the CEO earlier, he was like, you know, we hire the best possible people we can find. And they work on some of the most amazing projects, right? Design experts, UI, UX, everything. If you're going through like a digital transformation,
You should definitely check this guy out.
Seven Peaks.
Yeah, Seven
There's
Peaks.
7 of them.
And it's not that simple actually like, to hire that kind of highly talented developers to make that great software.
75 people.
And we got 75.
Oh my God.
And it's not that simple. Actually, I know that's not simple because I tried to do
To
the
hire
same, right?
people, I know.
And like it's very hard to get like some very talented people to do software development. And yeah, they are doing an incredible job.
So particularly for e-commerce sites, it's really hard.
Very hard, and that's why like we are doing platform like DrTech, so you don't need to hire your own developers. You can just rely on us.
Exactly. So what do we want to talk about today?
So today I think that we should talk about the DTC,
DTC, what does that
Here
mean?
are-
DTC.
direct to customers.
Oh, okay.
So like the fact that you can like nowadays sell your e-commerce products or services, like it will work the same way, but with no middleman. Like you can like go directly to your end customers. And I think this is a shift that just happened the last few years, thanks to a lot of things. And I think that can be a great topic for today, Michael.
But what had to change to get
So-
to DTC, right? You want to go direct to customers. So
Yeah,
let's
direct to
say,
customer.
in my mind, this is what I think about. I'm a factory owner.
Mm-hmm.
I produce T-shirts. T-shirts are easy, something that everybody understands, right? So I produce T-shirts. Why am I going to a distributor and all these other things? Why can I not keep some of the profits myself? As to be fair, if I look at supply chain and logistics, right, the person at the bottom of the supply chain is making the least profit, right? So if I'm like making cotton T-shirts, and it goes through the supply chain to Chanel in, you've been to France, yeah?
I've been to France.
It's hard to tell from your accent, but
I practice a lot.
you practice a lot. Keep going. Excuse me. But by the time it gets there, it's a $75 T-shirt or a $100 T-shirt, but they probably pay $3 for it.
Exactly.
So why not go directly to your clients?
To our clients, yeah.
But does that mean the factory owner now has to be involved in e-commerce? Like, how does that work?
Yes and no. Actually, like some stuff that we saw, like for example, for T-shirt, we saw some brands who started to do like what we call print on demand. So basically, like you are making T-shirts. We are, for example, at 7 Peaks, and like 7 Peaks just need 5 T-shirts. They don't need that much, right?
Yeah.
But you are making great T-shirts, so we can come to this factory and say, hey, we need like 5 T-shirts with our logo on that.
Right.
But we can do that on small quantity, not like 1,000 or 2,000, right?
Right.
So like we can like work this way directly with their customers by just customizing that stuff for brands, for for the designers, also for companies who just need like some merchandising basically. So this is one thing we saw over the last few years in the clothing industry.
But what changed? In other words, did some technology have to get built? Is this like blockchain related? You know what I mean? Like what had to change for that to be possible?
What had to change? Maybe what changed a lot to allow that is the automation between the website, then to synchronize that with the factory. Because nowadays, if you want to do print on demand, like for example, you don't have to deal directly with the factory. You can just like go on your website, upload your logo, and then the factory is going to get the exact number of t-shirts you need with the logo, with the location, and then we can just make it.
So is there already, look, we talk a lot about platforms and marketplaces. Mm-hmm. Is there already a platform that does this? And I'll explain to you what this is.
Oh, okay.
Right? Let's say that you and I, for eCommerce Undercover, want to have a bunch of black t-shirts or shirts printed with the eCommerce Undercover logo on it.
Yeah.
Which you know I want, and we should sell to people. People are asking for them. We should make them so they can buy them. And if you do want to buy them, please call me. But people should be able to buy them, right? Mm-hmm. But is there a way that, is there a system out there that already says, okay, we decided we want to buy 100 of those shirts. We put it on the platform. We don't know who's making it because it goes up for bid.
Exactly, yeah.
And then some factory owner can just go, I'll do that for $3 a shirt.
Exactly.
He gets the order for $300 and then he's done.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Does that already exist?
Yeah, that already exists.
So who does that? What's it called?
So there is a few companies that are doing that. We have one in France called Printful.
Yeah, no, I heard you. I'm thinking though. Go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, like, I have some of my customers who are working with them because like that's super simple. Like their system completely integrate with our shop at DrTech. So like for example, you want to make your e-commerce undercover shirt, you go on DrTech, you just put a picture of your shirt, and when somebody gonna come on the website, order that, the order goes directly to the factory. They can make it and ship directly to the end customers. So the process is so simple and straightforward that you can like just do a shot like this.
Yeah, but what I want is something a little bit different.
Okay.
Here's what I want. I want there to be 10 factories that make t-shirts.
Oh, and you want them to bid.
All at some approved quality level.
Okay.
And I want to just put it out there into the market and just go, who wants to make my 10, who wants to make my 100 t-shirts for me?
I think this way, I never see that. But maybe he does it this, but yeah.
So again, we need to, what we need to do into the shows, we need to incorporate some kind of whiteboarding facility. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll use green screen for that. We can talk about green screens later and what they can do for us. No exploding motorcycles today. No, but think about this. Think about this. I mean, Agoda, right, really is just this horizontal platform that plugs into hotels everywhere in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And essentially, these hotels are bidding on what you want, depending on the quality, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, whatever, and by location. Mm-hmm. And Agoda just aggregates all of that information, right? Because before that, it was fragmented. And you can go there and say, if I want to go into Paris and be in this neighborhood, here are the top 5 hotels. Mm-hmm. And the hotels are bidding, essentially, by putting their prices there and maybe some amenities. Mm-hmm. But I want to see manufacturing done that way, too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, do you think Alibaba is standard doing that?
You mean through Taobao?
Like through AliExpress, for example. You can go to AliExpress and you can find a lot of suppliers bid on their product. But they bid on their own product. You cannot say, I want one of the t-shirt, as you say, and we want to bid. And like, who's going to give me the best offers, right? It doesn't work this way. They offer their own product and then they bid it against each other.
Right. So that's, but I think that these types of businesses that create platforms on top of sort of a fragmented industry are where all the power is going to end up residing.
Okay. Definitely makes sense.
Does that make sense?
So we should do that.
We should do that too. Like if we built every idea we had on this show, first of all, we wouldn't have time for the show.
Definitely.
We're busy enough as it is.
That's for sure.
Playing with the green screen. But you understand the point though, right?
I definitely understand. So we can say that, for example, in the clothing industry with this POD company, print on demand companies.
Yeah.
But it's not at this level yet. Yeah. They don't have many suppliers and they don't make them bid against each other. But they can like at least do a little part of it.
I understand.
Yeah.
But so I have this big vision that every industry is going to at some point have this one big platform that sits on top of it. I mean, Kayak did this, right, for airline prices.
Yeah, true.
That's all they did was they just consolidated all the airline prices, and you could go there and just find out which one met your stipulations.
Yeah.
Right? But in the manufacturing space, it hasn't been done yet.
That's true.
And you can just start with T-shirts. Think about it.
Yeah.
I think there was a company in Germany called Arxum, if
Okay.
I remember correctly, ARXUM. You can look it up. That was trying to build a sort of distributed ledger technology business that connected factories together. You could send your bids out, right? I mean, you could send your requests for product building out.
Okay.
Yeah. And it would maintain it on a blockchain or on a distributed ledger technology. I'm just trying to remember how it worked. And sort of the factories that responded, then all their bids would get compared, and you could compare the quality and stuff like that, and you could choose the right one. But all of it was done on DLT,
Okay.
which meant that you couldn't cheat, and it was trusted and all this other stuff, right? Because that's one of the big benefits that the distributed ledger technology or blockchain technology gave you. So I've been thinking about this for a while. So it's easy to think of like direct to consumer, direct to customer, one factory directly to you. But what I really want is a platform that says, I want envelopes.
Wouldn't make me like the best envelopes at the best price in the best time frame, right?
But yeah, so anywhere in the world, not just in China, not just in Europe, not just in the United States, and not just in anywhere, right? Consolidate it all together and just say, I want this quality. I need it by this date in this color and all these other things.
Why you think it doesn't exist yet?
I think it's really hard to build. But I think that the hardest things to build are the ones with the biggest moats around them as well, which means that it's going to be very, very hard for somebody to come in. So the barriers to entry are going to be super high, right? If you think about the hotel business, it took a long time
To aggregate all of these offers.
to aggregate all of it.
Yeah.
But now, like between Agoda and Booking.com, like if you're not on their platform,
Yeah, you don't have customers.
you kind of don't exist
Yeah, true.
because that's where everybody goes.
Yeah.
And most consumers don't care about, I mean, Amazon's the same way, right? But most consumers don't care because they don't know enough about how that is destroying a whole bunch of small hotels,
Definitely.
right? And small hostels and small B&Bs and small inns, because in the old days, they could put an advertisement like in the New York Times and everybody would see it.
Yeah.
But now nobody sees it unless it's on Agoda or Booking.
Exactly.
Right. So I think that that same possibility exists for kind of every industry. And I don't think manufacturing is there yet. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think like actually it doesn't exist. I never heard about it. So if it was existing and big, we would heard about it. So so as we didn't hear about it, there is definitely something that can be done. And I'm thinking like a platform like mine can be a good starting point to do something like that. Like for example, I know some of my customers who are doing POD, print on demand, with the company we talked about before. So what I could do just like go to them and say that, hey, instead of going to this company Printful, for example, we can like go to an aggregator that we can have like 4 or 5 factories who gonna bid and maybe gonna get a better price. And maybe we can start this way, see how it works, see if everybody's happy, and after that, scale that.
Right, but everybody doesn't, it's not just about getting a better price, you're right. But actually you can get better margins for the factory too, right? Because if you're going, this is one of the big benefits, I think, right?
Exactly.
Is that if the factory sits on your platform, right, as long as prices don't collapse to zero, which they don't have to, they're going to maintain more of their margins.
Definitely.
So they can actually charge higher prices because they know that originally somebody buys it, then a print shop gets it, they put some margin on top of it.
Of course.
Right, and then a distributor gets it, they put some margin on top of it, and then it goes to a website who probably also puts a little bit of a margin on top of it, and then it goes to me to buy a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so we can like cut like at least half of the supply chain this way. And and also I see another advantage of doing that is that most of the time this POD company, if you want to stay in the fashion industry, let's say, most of the time they are not flexible in terms of products because they don't do the creation of a t-shirt. Basically, what they only do is the printing and the logo and stuff like that, right? So like they are not flexible at all on the product that they can offer because they have a supplier, right?
Right.
And most of the time they don't want to deal with you if you don't have big quantity or like they just don't care most of the time. So if we can like just skip them and go directly to the factories, there is probably a higher chance that you can get better product, more customized, and also like better options.
Yeah, not only that, but then the factory can have more control over their own inputs as well.
Also, yeah.
Right. In other words, the Japanese learned this or invented this. Toyota did, right? So just-in-time inventory. And they could do it because they were able to track what their orders were like and seasonality and stuff like that. But you know what else they did? This was actually really interesting. If you go into Aichiken and into near Nagoya, right, in Japan, and you go to the Toyota factory, what you'll notice around it is all these suppliers.
Really, they are all there.
Well, just like but even in Kentucky. So when the U.S. had one of the first Toyota factories back in the 80s or 90s, I can't remember. You know, Toyota basically went to every state and just said, okay, what kind of tax abatements can we get? Where should we build it? Kentucky's not known for car factories. Detroit is, Michigan is, right? All the big U.S. car companies were always based in Detroit.
Yeah.
For some reason that I don't know. Anyway, excuse me. But all the suppliers then ended up being right around here because it meant that if they wanted to get something, they could get it really fast. It didn't have to come from some other place.
Which makes sense, right?
It makes perfect sense. But I mean, imagine if you were the t-shirt gal, right? And all your suppliers are right around you. You can be super flexible.
Yeah.
Because you can choose all your different inputs. Yeah, and if you're going directly to your consumers, it reminds you of these guys who built that shave company. What's it called? $1 Shave? The Dollar Shave Club in the United States?
This one, yeah, okay.
You remember those commercials that guy had where he's like walking through the factory, hitting balloons. I can't remember what it was, but it kind of went viral on YouTube, right? They bought their own blade factory.
Yeah.
Because now they control the whole process.
Yeah.
Right, so it wasn't like that the factory went ahead and did it, but somebody bought the factory, incorporated it into their e-commerce business, so bringing us full circle. And that business actually is direct to consumer from a factory.
Definitely. And I think that completely makes sense. Like if you want to be more flexible, if you can get all the input from your customers, like all the inquiries, all the pre-sales questions, all the data, and all the information that your customer want to give you just because they have questions, they have needs, and they want to buy stuff. So they are asking a lot of questions, they have a lot of needs. And if you are able to listen to that, you're going to have so much input, they're going to give you so much ideas to create new products or new services or like to, I don't know, just to make your brands more appealing to your end customers. And you need this flexibility, I think, on the supply part to be able to execute that either fast or also try at a small scale and to see like what can be the output. Is going to be good or bad, and then you can decide or not to do it at scale, right? But if you don't control the supply chain, or if you have like such a big supply chain once again, I think it's really hard to do this kind of experimentation that can help you to grow your business much faster.
But what does this look like? Can we just break this down into its pieces, right? Because it's more than just a factory and a website.
Yeah.
What is actually happening here? Can we break this down? So do you think that the factory goes into the e-commerce business? Do you think that somebody who has an idea buys the factory? Is it one product only, or is it just a set of products that can be made from some inputs? Like, how do you think this really works?
Where at first? What would be the
pick anything. I mean, I'm holding a pen, right? So you could have a pen factory, right? But this pen has some sort of engraving on it, right? So you need to have the ability to put this on it.
Yeah.
You want to change the color of this and maybe the color of this to match, right? Or maybe you want to mix and match it. Maybe if it's for a team, like the Green Bay Packers, right? This is yellow, this is the green for the Green Bay Packers, and you put Green Bay Packers on it, or something like that, right? Or PSG. I dare you to say it. Paris Saint-Germain?
I can say it in French, well, you know.
I dare you.
Because I know my French accent is very good.
So. But anyway. Right, but again, if a team, so let's just think about any product, right? But if a team wants to make a product, they don't need to own the factory.
No, they don't need to.
So what does that business look like? Let's just say if it's a t-shirt factory.
Most of the time, I think there is a few way to do a t-shirt business.
Tell me.
Let's say like, so first of all, you can go to a factory, buy the t-shirt blank, let's say, and after that you put your own logo or you do some design on that, or like you do whatever you want to transform the base product into your own product. And there's a lot of companies who do that. There's a lot of suppliers who just made a t-shirt and then they just resell the same t-shirt to like 10 brands, 20 brands, 100 brands, right? So it's the exact same t-shirt, but then the brands sell it into different forms. So that's one way. Then I think there's another way. There's some people also who like just to create their own stuff. So they don't like have a sewing machine and they don't just create their own T-shirt and
At home.
at home, for example. Like for example, we saw that with a cap. There's people like who just created like their own cap.
Really?
And after that, once they have some success, they will go to the factory and we will ask them, can you make it at scale? Because now we're the customers. And it was taking us a lot of time to to create it ourselves.
We're back to Etsy again, aren't we?
And then we go back to Etsy, for example. But yeah, I think there is also this other way to do. And like, yeah, I think in fashion, there's a lot of ways to do it.
So here's what it looks like for me.
Yeah, tell me.
There's a brand new factory,
Okay.
completely automated.
Mm-hmm.
It has the best inputs, right? So maybe somebody's got but the cloth doesn't get cut by a human. It's
Okay.
just completely robotic, right? I order a T-shirt in whatever colors they offer. Let's say it's 25 colors.
Okay.
I send them a picture of my logo. They put it on the T-shirt, which I can see on the site, on the website. I send an order for one. There's no MOQ. There's no minimum order quantity, right? You have to order one. It's more than zero. And a machine just takes it, picks my grade of cotton, so it can be 80 thread, 120 thread, whatever it is. I don't know the answer to this, right? And then it just makes it, packages it, stamps it, connects directly to a third-party logistics company, and comes to me, depending on where I am, directly in whatever the minimum amount of time it is to get to me. And I can actually choose that when I'm ordering.
How long you want the T-shirt
Is
to
it
be?
overnight, or is it express, right, or whatever?
Mhm. So this way you completely cut the brand. Like we can go to a factory directly and design my own T-shirt, and that's my T-shirt, that's my brand, that's Martin Ronfort brand.
Exactly.
That's my T-shirt.
Exactly.
I become the designer of my own clothes, so I don't need anybody to design my own clothes. I can just do it myself.
But wouldn't you prefer that?
Myself, yeah, but that would be cool.
Yeah, but wouldn't you also prefer? So, like, I went out and bought some new jeans
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been awesome if I could just, like, get online,
Mm-hmm.
get measured, go directly to the Levi's factory, wherever the closest one is in the world,
Yeah.
and have it perfectly customized just for me?
Definitely. And you remember when we had this conversation with David from Pomelo? Like,
What was his response to that?
like
It's
it
a
was
great,
that
it's
it
a
was
great mug, by the way.
it was it was not that simple to do all the like sizing and all the stuff.
Yeah,
for
that I
buying
understand.
something
I'm talking more about
Yeah.
simple stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like a T-shirt's pretty simple.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
you didn't need to go to a store to buy that.
No,
Frankly, I can't believe you actually bought it, but still.
but I still like to try my T-shirt. By the
know.
way.
But you understand what I mean, right? In other words, for a T-shirt, like who needs a brand?
But like something that I know is that once I find a size that I like, then I just want my T-shirt to be all the same.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's good, right? So that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm not growing that much right now. That's done. So that means like
I've actually never grown that much in my whole life, to be fair.
you start very early to grow, right?
Started very early, and I stopped early.
You start early. so
I
yeah.
couldn't be bothered, actually. Go ahead.
So yeah, so actually, like once I have my size, why not go into a website, for example, and just send them like the logo of the design I have in mind, or like just see like a bunch of design that I can just get, and then order, and then it just directly to the factory. The factory made it all automated, send it to me in 2 days. Why not?
So think about this. Yeah, exactly. But think about this. So Louis Vuitton, right, has a very distinctive bag style.
Mm-hmm.
The brown one with the LV on it.
Mm-hmm.
They copied a brand. I think it was, I can never remember the name now. Anyway, but another French brand that
Okay.
started putting colorful things on top of their own logo.
Okay.
So I always thought it would be neat. Right? Let's say I want to order a polo from Ralph Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the little horse there. And then they started making the ones with the gigantic horses on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet people could have come up with their own kind of weird designs where like the polo horse was back here, or maybe it was over here. There was a whole series of them like
Yeah.
down here. Why wouldn't they give you direct to factory access?
Mm-hmm.
The factory that makes their shirt, so it's their quality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no brand degradation.
I see what you mean. Okay.
And then give me the right to order direct to me. Don't have to go to the store on Madison Avenue. Don't have to try to find it in Bangkok. But I can go directly to the factory and just say, can you make me one like this? And as long as it fits within some kind of brand standard, so you don't have to get rid of the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can buy it. And I'm even willing to pay a premium for it because it's my design. Like, wouldn't it be neat if it said like MIW?
Made by Michael Waitze.
Made by Michael Waitze. Or designed by Michael Waitze.
Yeah, so actually this standard exists already. There is some platform, like for example the POD one that I was talking just before.
Yep.
What they did is that they allowed anybody to just go on the website and create their own design, and then they could like just let them sell through the website. Kind of like a marketplace if you want. Like you just go there, you create your own design, then you release it on the website, and anybody can buy, and then you get some royalties out of that. So there's a lot of people who are already very interested into designing clothes and into selling them online through this kind of model. And then for the print on demand business, that's good because it brings them some customers, right? So yeah, there's some companies that did that already. So there's people who are already interested into designing clothes and selling them.
Yeah, and I think the brands could actually make a ton more money as well in just like a new line
by opening the design, right?
Excuse me, by having like a new line of business by opening the design within some brand standards, right? Like just make it super creative. Like I'd love a Polo Ralph Lauren with like Michael, the horse, and then Waitze kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Or maybe the horses, I can make it any color combination I want, right? Because right now I have to go into a store and say, get the blue one with the red one. What if I want the blue one with like the half purple, half green kind of thing? Can't have it.
Can't have it, no. Right now you
cannot have it. But the factory could definitely make it.
Yeah, but do they want to make one? Nowadays, no.
Why?
But this is maybe like what needs to change.
That's
like
my point,
the
though.
Ability to create only one product at scale. Because like of course, like Ralph Lauren is selling a lot of t-shirts, and if everybody wants to customize one, you have to make them.
But remember, it's just like for a car, right?
Yeah.
If I want a Ford Mustang, and it comes in these like 7 colors, like I ordered. This is gonna sound terrible, but when I ordered my Cayenne,
Okay.
right, I got the outside any color I wanted, and I got the inside leather any color I wanted. I had to wait for it,
Yeah, you have to wait for
and I
it.
had to pay a premium for it, but I didn't care because when I got it, it was mine. And to be fair, I could have engraved my name on the back of the bucket seats. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, you're right. Like all of these.
So car companies can do this. Go ahead.
Yeah, and actually you're right. Like there is a lot of customization possible with premium products. Like same, if you go to Louis Vuitton, for example, we can do a lot of stuff for you as long as you pay for it, right? And like as we can see, like with Uber, for example, would get everybody access to private drivers.
Yeah.
Maybe we can say a company would give everybody access to customization, right? For any kind of brands.
This is just another great idea. And if you're out there listening to this,
And if you're entrepreneurs, don't copy all of our ideas, please.
actually copy all of our ideas. We have so many ideas that if someone doesn't do it, like we don't have time to do them all.
That's for sure.
But you understand, like that's what I want. That's what I want to really talk about when I look for ideas around DTC. Right, so it's direct to consumer. If you can do that, right? So I wrote down MOQ. I don't know if that's like the technical term for minimum order quantity.
Yeah, that's what
but it feels like it is, right? Yeah. But everything should have an MOQ of 1. No?
Yeah, definitely. We should do that.
Yeah, because I mean, even McDonald's can do a minimum order quantity of 1, and they don't charge you a premium for it. No pickles for me. And when you say that, they don't like, oh God, no pickles for this guy. How are we going to handle it? They just don't put the pickles on.
Yeah, that's it.
They don't charge you any less, so they make the pickle margin.
That's a huge margin, right?
It's gigantic. Pickle margin, I hear, is gigantic. Not like coffee margin, which is just like insane. But coffee's harder to make than pickles. But if I think about all the brands that are out there that do customization, it should literally just go, they should open up their factory. We don't need to know that, right? But you could run a DTC business without somebody knowing it's a DTC business, right? Because consumers don't care, do they?
You mean they don't care to know if it's directly from the producer or directly from the factory?
They don't care if they buy it from the brand store or from the factory that makes the brand.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Because in some cases, the same factory that makes Ralph Lauren
is making for other brands, right?
Makes Lacoste. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's true, but it could be.
Yeah.
Same quality, same cotton quality grade, right? Different logo, different designs because they're different companies. But why do I need to go to a store? And please let me customize. This is the whole benefit, I think, of DTC.
It is definitely cutting cost, customization.
Yeah. And because of the automation that we talked about, They should be able to do this really easily.
With an MOQ of 1.
I think everything should have an MOQ of 1.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, this made me think about something completely different.
Tell me.
But it made me think about all the little wine producer or cheese producer of all of those guys who just making great product and who sell direct to consumers. And like the consumers just love going directly to them because they know it's a much better product. There is no like chemical inside. They knows like it's the little farmer in his mountains making his cheese. Like the story is so much better, right? We can see the cow, we can see everything. So like those kind of guy, most of the time have a way more appealing product to the end customers. And people are okay most of the time to drive a lot, to go in the mountains to be able to get this cheese, right? And this made me think about that. So we tend to see that in certain areas, in certain industries, for example, this one, cheese, all of it's fine. People already do it, and it works very well.
I'm thinking.
Like, for example, let me give you another example with champagne. Just like
so I was going to ask you about this, right? Go ahead.
Because in champagne, you have basically like two ways to buy champagne.
Go ahead.
Either you go to a store, a wine store, right? So let's include supermarket into that. Yep. So let's say you go to a store to buy champagne, right?
Yep.
So this store, they are going to go buy the champagne, and then they are going to resell that into the store and giving you some advice maybe, or giving you any kind of support, right?
Yep.
But the important here is that either you go to a very small shop that might have some good access to the winemaker,
right,
or you go to a normal supermarket who just sell the mainstream champagne, right?
Right.
So in both cases, you don't go directly to the customer to the champagne maker, right? Because those guys in Champagne, there's a lot of really small champagne maker who just sell directly to their consumers. Because they can only do that because their product is so good and their production is so low that if you go there, Michael, I'm sorry, but if you go there and you try to buy,
you can't get it.
They just not gonna sell you because their customer list is already so big, and you have
they won't give it to you because they want to give it to the people that have been supporting them for a decade.
Exactly, and they want to keep those very loyal customers, so they want to keep their production only for those guys. And I'm not talking to you about like one or two who are doing that. I'm talking to you about all the independent champagne maker, and there is so much. And as you know, in Champagne you have quota, so every year you cannot do more than a certain amount of bottles.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Really?
Yeah. There is a quota to keep the product rare, basically. So like every year, I don't know how many millions of bottles are.
So they're creating like unnecessary scarcity.
Yeah, it's not unnecessary, I think, because it keeps the price high.
I understand.
Right? But
is that how markets work?
Yeah, this is how.
Thank you very much.
Just teach you some stuff.
Thank you very much. Let me take some notes.
You should. But yeah, so they create the scarcity in Champagne by themselves, which means like there's a lot of very small champagne makers.
Yeah.
Who can just rely on their existing customers because these customers come to the house, just buy directly and down, and they can make enough money this way.
Right. So when I was in France the last time, on vacation with my family, my wife wanted this very specific type of champagne.
Okay.
That is a little bit bigger than the kind of champagne you're talking about, but it's very rare.
Okay.
And we weren't in Paris. We were in the south of France. But we had to go to a ton of different shops. And they don't have it. And when we found it, she just like waved it in, however many they had. I can't remember. But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not pure customization.
Mm-hmm.
But that's as close as you can get, right? Because the product is so unique and so scarce.
Completely, yeah.
Right? So how do you create a marketplace for that?
For those kind of days. So first of all, for Champagne, it's impossible because once again, all of those little suppliers, they just don't need any more customers.
They don't, but the people that buy it can create a secondary market for anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that buy it. So here's what happens. some people that buy that champagne are actually restaurant owners.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get customers in. The food is amazing,
Yeah.
but the wine that goes with that food, including the champagne, is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely going to charge a premium for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I've been a customer for 20 years of some very unique champagne maker, you could create a secondary market for that too, right? Double, triple the price.
I'm not sure this can work very well.
No, it's not. But again, it's just but it's just another kind of product customization,
Definitely.
right? They're creating scarcity.
Yeah.
But then how do some of these big champagne makers, like Veuve Clicquot and some of these, famous champagne makers, why is the stock that they make so big every year? And then some of your smaller makers just don't get a chance to make more. How do they split up the...
It depends on how many hectares, you said everything in English, hectares of vineyards that you have.
So it's based on the amount of land you own.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's based on that. And then you have a quota, and you can make only that much of bottles.
Wow.
That's
It's like the De Beers and diamonds. You understand how the diamond market works, right?
Yeah.
Like one company basically family essentially controls the worldwide supply of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't like parse it out to people, the prices can fluctuate wildly, kind of thing.
So this is kind of what they do in Champagne, which means that if you have some vineyards, then you're good, because you know that every year all your bottles are going to be sold.
Unless you're making really bad champagne.
Unless you have a very bad problem, or you made something bad, but normally you're good.
So how long does it take to sell? Like, let's say you own a vineyard of any size. How long does it take to sell it, or is it just like someone buys it right away?
Or if you want to sell it,
yeah,
someone buy it right away. Actually, they're gonna buy it yesterday.
Really, they're just waiting. They're camping outside your house to buy it.
Moët & Chandon buys everything. Like we just buy everything. Like and they buy it so expensive.
So nobody else can buy it.
Nobody can buy it. And Moët & Chandon is the LVMH group, which is one of the biggest group in France. Yeah, we just buy everything. So like,
didn't their market value recently just go over like $1 trillion? I can't remember, but I saw some story on.
I have no idea.
LVMH.
I didn't check that. Maybe, but yeah, Bernard Arnault, who is the founder and the CEO.
Maybe that's what it was. He's like the richest guy in the world. He's richer than Jeff Bezos. That's what I was reading.
He's one of the richest guys in the world, definitely.
Fair enough.
So yeah, so like Moët & Chandon, you are sure they are going to buy everything, but the only reason why you buy vineyards is if the family member dies and like the children just keep going. This is most of the time the only reason why people buy the vineyards.
So I just need to know somebody who knows somebody who has a champagne farm. I said farm on purpose.
But actually, like if you check the return on investments, if you buy a vineyard, it's way too low. So like you cannot just say, hey, I'm gonna buy some champagne business and make money out of it. The only way you have to make money out of it is to create a unique brand and sell the same bottle 10 times the price.
I understand.
Basically, it's what Jay-Z did with Has the Beach.
So shouldn't we have an e-commerce undercover champagne brand?
We can, definitely.
Put the logo on it. It's kind of a fancy logo.
Definitely, we can do that. And we can sell the same bottle 10
Do you know anybody who makes champagne?
I know people who make champagne. I know people who make champagne. And actually, I did that myself. Because when...
Did you really?
Yeah, when I had my previous company, what I did, every time we had an event, I've been to this little champagne maker and I asked them to put my logo on the bottle. So it was kinda my champagne brand. And everybody at every event thought that we had our own brand. But it was not my champagne inside. It was my logo, my colors, and my brand on the champagne.
So we need to ask people if they want to have e-commerce undercover champagne. And I guess we'll sell it to people if they want to get it. But not at 10 times the price.
No, we don't know. Do a fair price.
It'll be much more reasonable. We're reasonable people here.
Of course. But when you talk about just customization just before,
exactly.
I think Jay-Z example of Las de Peach is a very good example because he took a champagne bottle that sold like for around 15 euros. I know the supplier, the one who is making the initial bottle.
So you know the one who was making the initial bottle for Jay-Z champagne.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what Jay-Z did, he just bought the whole production of juice basically, like before it became champagne.
Right.
Of grape juice for
So you just bought the whole year.
no, for like 10 years.
You bought the whole 10 years.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know exactly everything, but it was like, just give me the juice, right? no, it was like, I just buy the juice and then you make my champagne. And then it sold last the peak, like 300 euros. It's the same bottle, the same juice, the same producer, the same vineyard. Just he put some marketing, he put his name, he put some customization, not on the product, but on the marketing side. And he's been able to sell that. And like now, Last the Peach is a worldwide brand, right? But it all started into a very small.
But in a way, that is direct to factory, right?
Yeah,
I mean, direct
definitely.
to consumer. It's factory to consumer, right? So I wrote down 3 things, right? Creator to consumer, farm to table, people talk about a lot, right? So it comes right off a farm, comes right into your table.
Definitely.
You cut it up and do whatever you want with it, right? And then the other one was factory to consumer. They're all the same idea. But that idea is that you can create, because we didn't really talk about this at the beginning, but I think I'm learning more about this as we talk about it, that it allows for customization as well, right? Because, and in the case of Jay-Z, if I'm not worried about 10 years of production, I can make anything they want.
Definitely.
I can turn the bottle upside down. I can do whatever they want, right? Or I can change the label every year. I can change the color every year. But I think this is where products are going, right? So in the same way that we say that e-commerce isn't solved yet, I think one of the things that's going to get solved is branding. And I think what's going to happen is, and I've been saying this for a while too, is that anybody's going to be able to create a brand. Like there's no better time in the world to create a brand. No better time, because your distribution is handled.
True.
Right. So before, if you were Coca-Cola, you had Coca-Cola bottlers. That's how they got their stuff out everywhere in the world, right? So they made all the sugar water, and then somebody bought a Coca-Cola bottler's distributor. They would buy the Coke, and then they would distribute to other people. But now I can make my own drink. I don't need a bottler. I can do it myself because I can have direct access to the factory. I'm just trying to come up with all these ideas for ways that people can use direct to consumer by having access to production.
Definitely.
Because you can also create a brand. Before, it was so hard to create a brand because getting access to people at scale was very expensive.
But right now it's not.
Now it's super cheap.
But and as you say, like the distribution nowadays, it's very simple, right? Like you can deliver the end customer super easily and fast.
Correct.
So yeah.
I mean, there's no reason. Here's the other thing too, right? And we were talking about this before we started recording. We're not in the normal place where we record, and all these things are related, right? We're not in the normal place that we record. We wanted to record in a different place to test it out and see what it felt like. And as we were setting up today, we thought, what does all this cost? And we have to go through every detail. But we essentially set up a mobile television studio, a recording studio, in an hour.
Because we are good, that's right.
Well, because you're really good at this. But the point is that because we can have this access, we and anybody else like we are can create a brand.
Definitely.
Right? Because the more you can create great content and control a conversation, then you can create a brand out of that. And if you can do that, then people will love that brand, even if it's small, even if it's a micro brand, right? Because the MOQs now, we're getting all the way back to the same conversation, because the MOQs now are so low.
Definitely.
You can create products that your fans or that your subscribers or your listeners will buy in a way that was never possible before.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. Like the same way internet help a lot of startups and entrepreneurs to just create stuff, because on the internet it's so easier, you know, for example, to launch a digital product.
Yeah.
Everything that is subscription based or everything that is just digital services or stuff like that have been like incredibly easy to launch the last few years. And nowadays, like as we can get a MOQ smaller, it can definitely help entrepreneurs to launch something new, to create content for podcasting, for example. Or also, if you have an idea or if you want to launch something, there's always a way to start small and to test. And to launch and get like 1 customers and 2 customers and 10 customers. And after that, you can think about scalability. But at first, I think there's always a way to start small.
Absolutely. Look, when I think about Ralph Lauren, right, so a very famous fashion brand, years after the Ralph Lauren brand became famous, there was another brand that they want to create something to compete with it,
Okay.
but kind of in a whimsical way, and that was Tommy Hilfiger. very American, red, white, and blue, this, that, and the other thing. I think all of his stuff was either manufactured in Hong Kong or in China. But it cost probably $1 billion to create that brand. I remember it. The marketing was insane. Tommy was everywhere. He hired supermodels to like advertise for this. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And he used his name, Tommy Hilfiger, just like Ralph Lauren. By the way, Ralph Lauren's last name is not Lauren.
Okay.
You know what his real last name is?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, Lifshitz.
Lifshitz?
Yeah, nobody wants to wear Ralph Lifshitz clothes. But Ralph Lauren, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Same guy. But the point is that it was really expensive to create a brand then.
True.
Now, because of all the things that we've been talking about today,
Yeah.
the factory's accessible, the brand creation is accessible, the design is accessible, the distribution is accessible, and the marketing, the access to clients is accessible.
Yeah.
Now's the best time ever in the history of the world to create a brand.
Definitely. And just to add some more information about the marketing,
Go for it.
there is like something that really grew over the last few years is influence marketing, where people who had audiences just say, hey, like you should buy this t-shirt brand because that's really, 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 really awesome. So actually like people like, for example, Kylie Jenner, she does like a lot of product placement, we call them, and she endorsed companies and just say like to her millions and millions of followers, guy, you should go there and pay for it, right?
Right.
So
like I'm doing with this coffee right
like
now.
For
so
example,
good, this coffee.
Yeah, and 7 Pills had to pay you very, very expensive to do that, right?
just to hold it.
Just to hold it. But this is basically the way it works, right? But at first, this was only for huge influencers like Kylie Jenner and those 10 of people.
Yep.
But after that, as these influencers, most of the time they are their audience through social media, either it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, or like any kind of platform. What we saw is that we saw like a huge increase of the micro influencers, the one with 1,000 followers, the one with 500 followers.
Yeah.
And the good news for new brands is that those people, they are very, very, very cheap. And most of the time either they don't ask for a lot of money, or they are okay to work commission-based, or they are okay just to promote something because they like it.
Right.
And so you can get very smart way to get some free marketing or very cheap marketing at first, thanks to this direct to consumers approach, and all of these small influencers, all of these micro influencers who just gonna want to support you and they're gonna like you. And you can get the word out for your brand for very cheap, very fast.
Right. And I want to get back to one of the other points you were making earlier about it's not just about doing data analysis. It's about doing testing. And I was talking to a guy named Paul Munshausen, yeah. And he's building a company called AMP, right, which I talked about before. And he used to be doing some sort of super big data analysis for the Department of Defense in Afghanistan.
Okay.
It's all public information, so it's not like I'm outing him or something. And we talked about it on one of my other shows. But one of the things that he learned was that there's a little bit of misunderstanding about how companies like Google and Apple and Facebook use the big data. He said one of the things, you have to have this ability to experiment. And you said this earlier. You don't know what's going to sell.
Most of the time.
Most of the time you don't know. You think you do. And even if you do all this market research, you may be wrong.
Yeah.
Because you can't be sure that people are actually telling you what they're really thinking until it comes down to putting the money on the table to buy something.
That's why I always say, I always trust the customer who pays.
Yeah, I always trust the customer who pays because they're telling you exactly what they want.
Yeah,
the thing you're selling them.
Exactly, yeah.
So you can do the same thing, again, just to get all the way back to the conversation we're having here about direct-to-consumer. Because, and one of the reasons why I asked that question earlier is what needed to change. So all the things that I've just mentioned, right? The access to the factory. Before, I would never have access to the factory. The access to distribution, I would never have access to that. The access to marketing, to be able to communicate with people online at scale, at very low cost. I can't go to an advertising agency and say, hey, can you advertise my thing?
Definitely.
They'll just laugh at me. I mean, not anymore. But they would have laughed 2 or 3 years ago. And the same thing for you. But what do? So because you have access to all the components now at scale, the last thing to fix is this, not the last thing, but one of the last things to fix is this minimum order quantity. Because if you can get that down, then you can experiment. Make it blue, make it a little lighter blue, whatever. Give people access to all the colors because you don't care which one they order.
Definitely.
And that's why you have to think about scale in a different way when you're talking about DTC.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't matter. And in a way, they already do this. The fewer you order, the more expensive it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you order 100, get a 20% discount kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I think all these components had to come together to make all of this possible. And now that it is.
And now it definitely is. Now, like, we can see like the rise of all the e-commerce brands that just launched the last few years, right? Because of all of these things that have become available right now, and you can launch your brands. As you say, it's definitely the best time in the history of the world to launch a brand right now because of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only better time would have been cavemen time. Imagine if some dude invented Coca-Cola. Cavemen would have gone crazy.
Definitely.
Or had Nikes.
But like,
could you imagine that? Some cavemen going, I got the Nikes. That would have been a good time to create a Nike. Anyway, go ahead. You were saying?
Of course. But like, it also made me think about something about the startup world and how we operate when we want to launch something, right?
Tell me.
Because like we talk about that pretty often, but you know, my way of doing things is always like go small first and get a lot of conversation with the customer to get all of this data, all of this insight, all of this fear, all of this will, all of these questions that help you shape the perfect product for them, right? And thanks to the fact that nowadays it's very easy to launch a brand and be small, actually, I think being small is a huge advantage.
Massive.
Because you don't need to raise tons of funds,
no way.
Order 1,000 or 10,000 products, handle 10,000 customers with everything related to that. No, you have the luxury right now to have one customer.
Yeah.
And talk to him and ask him what does he want? What's the problem? Like, why does he like the product? Why did he buy that? And then you can have a second customer and a third customer and a fifth customer. And then you can start to see the pattern and why people buy and what people want. And all of that help you to create a really, really appealing brand, because like all your marketing, all your communication, all your PR, all your marketing, basically, you can just use the same words and use the same insight, and all the questions that you ask help you after for that, which for me is a huge luxury that every startup should take and should do.
And most of them don't.
And most of them don't.
You know, the one thing I cannot get out of my mind, excuse me, from the conversation we had with David Jew, right, the founder and the CEO of Pomelo, is he was talking to us in a kind of a joking way, right? He said, I was the guy who said that e-commerce was going to kill offline fashion. And I was adamant about it. David's a learner though, right? And he said every year they would do a survey and his customers would say, we just want a store, like a physical store. And he would say, we're not doing that.
We're killing a physical store.
Yeah, we're just not doing that. Get out. Who said that to me? We're not doing that. This is the story he's telling. We're not making this up. And in the end, he relented. The firm relented. They started building stores. And didn't he say when they did that, like sales went up by 5 times after the stores launched?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love what you say though, right? If you're small and you're doing direct to consumer, like step number 1 should just ask them, what do you want?
Yeah, just what do you want? Why did you buy? I also like this discussion, like why did you buy?
Right.
Like, because once again, I like to trust the people who pay. Because most of the time, you're going to have like a tons of people who just come to you and give you data and insight, but they will never pay. So in the end, you just
why?
You cannot just really trust them. But like when you try to sell something, people buy, and just after, like, just ask them like, why did you buy? What was the main reason why you buy? And this is really a huge luxury to have a small number of customers at first where you can just ask that.
Right.
And let me give you an example about what I'm doing right now with my company.
Tell me.
Like I have this really, really direct to customer approach. Like as I handle the customer support myself.
Yeah, you talk to the customers.
Yeah,
it's pretty direct to them.
It's completely direct to them. But first of all, they love the company for that, because there is never a company who's doing that.
No way.
And we care that much about them. But also, guess what? When I'm creating a new marketing campaign, do I spend 2 weeks thinking about the perfect plan? No way. I spend 2 weeks just asking them why they buy, why do they want, what do they read, what YouTube video do they watch, what social media do they use, what influencers do they follow.
Right.
And they are creating for me the whole marketing plan. Because I just
for you.
Them. For me, yeah.
Yeah, because you just use their words.
Because I just use their words, what they do, where do they spend time, where do they put their attention. And after that, when I have a draft, what do I do? I just send
Give it to them and go, what do you guys think of this?
Exactly. What do you get thing is, why do you think I related like really what's my brain is? What if you saw that for the first time, would you buy? Yes or no, and why? Right? And so I do that all the time. So actually, I have my testing guys because I'm small, and like it helped me to understand.
You're not that small, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but like it really helped me to craft the perfect message all the time, and in the end, like win so much time and so much money, thanks to this direct to consumers approach.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite example of how this backfires, right, when you don't ask your customers what they want or you don't listen to your customers, my favorite example of this is not even Pomelo.
Mm-hmm.
It's Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Again, just go back and do your history search. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe the late 80s, early 90s, I can't remember. They did this whole big thing where they came out with what they called New Coke. Mm-hmm. It was a slightly different flavor.
Okay.
Some people actually said it tasted more like Pepsi.
Okay.
Well, nobody wants Coke that tastes like Pepsi.
Of course.
Anyway, nobody bought it. And then they stopped making the original Coke, and then people are like, "You've lost your mind." And then they brought out Coke Classic, which was the original Coke, and then just never had new Coke again after that. But the point was, if they had just asked their clients, "Do you want new Coke? Should we just what kind of Coke do you want?" Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And people just would have said, "The one you're selling now."
Yeah.
And then they could have saved themselves $1 billion.
Oh yeah.
And all the embarrassment.
Yeah.
Right, but I love this idea of direct to consumer, letting your clients tell you your marketing.
Yeah.
Why did you buy this? I bought it because it was really easy to use.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And because it was a lot less expensive than the alternative, and because there were no hidden fees. I don't like it when I buy something for $67, but to use the full thing, I've got to pay another $129.
That's annoying, right?
It's not just annoying; it's deceptive, right?
Yeah,
so the point is, if your clients tell you that, then that's your marketing.
Yeah.
Really easy to use, cheaper than the competition, fully featured, and no hidden fees.
Exactly. Yeah.
No hidden fees? Yeah. Call me.
That's what we do at the DrTech. And
right.
Guess what? Where does all of this insight come from? Just my customers. So that's why, like, when you launch your brand nowadays, I think that's a really, really, really wrong approach to think directly like, oh, if I have millions of customers, or oh, I need to raise funds, like to do that. No. Spend the time, 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years, just to understand exactly what you are doing, right? And what's your marketing, what's your market fit, right? Like, where should you fit in the market? What customer you want? And I think this is very, very valuable for any startups, any brands, and any kind of business.
Super. Look, one of my biggest pet peeves, is when somebody lists like their company on LinkedIn as stealth. Stealth.
What is that?
So stealth means hidden.
Oh,
like the stealth fighter.
Okay.
You can't see it. I mean, you can see it, but like radar can't detect it kind of thing. We're in stealth mode, so nobody.
Okay.
So wait a second. So your idea is so unique.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That you don't want to tell anybody what it is because you're afraid they might steal it and out-execute you. I have a better idea. Just be open. Go ask your potential clients.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And let everybody know you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Because then you get way more feedback. To me, like when someone's building something in stealth, they're just afraid it's going to fail.
Yeah. I don't
were you ever in stealth?
Sorry?
Were you ever in stealth mode?
No, never. I want to have as many conversation with customers as possible.
Exactly.
And actually, I'm going to give you another example. Like, next week, I'm to launch a new marketing campaign for a special type of customer I never think about before. So I could not include them into my business plan because I never thought this guy would
want to use your thing.
Yeah, but like once I see 1 question, 2 questions, 3 questions, 10 questions, 20 questions, 50, I was like, hey, maybe there is a market there.
For this, maybe there's a market for this.
And I had no idea. You see, like, but thanks to this direct to consumers approach once again, and listening to them and just like asking questions, I've been able to identify a niche market. It's not a huge market, but it's still big enough to go there and really like be the best product out there.
Yeah, just dominate, yeah.
Every other people is way less good than me, but I didn't know that. So thanks to my customer who found me, I don't know how. And thanks to the fact that I listened to them, I've been able to find out this opportunity for me.
Right.
And if you don't do that, then
I think we could talk about this direct-to-consumer thing forever.
Definitely.
Just because there are so many ideas that come up.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and I want to say this one last thing about people that operate in stealth. Mm-hmm. If you're so arrogant that your idea is so great and that your arrogance leads you to hubris, that you don't even want anybody else to know what you're building, so they can't give you any feedback. So you're telling yourself you don't need to learn anything from anybody else, or only the people that you handpick. I smell a failure.
Yeah,
I smell a direct to failure.
DTF.
DTF.
we
It's actually
can do a t-shirt.
It's actually, we should do a t-shirt. STF, stealth to failure.
Stealth to failure. We can do a t-shirt for that and offer that to some people.
Anybody in stealth mode just gets one for free, since they won't have any income anyway. Stealth to failure.
But yeah, like there's a lot of stuff, and naturally, like this direct to consumers approach have been way easier to do right now.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, thanks to the internet, thanks to the social media, thanks to the micro influencers, thanks to the fact that we can now do the smaller emoji, or even one if tomorrow, like we can have the factory of the future, like like you mentioned. It would be super great, as you say, like it's just gonna empower entrepreneurs even more.
Even more.
Yeah, and be able to create new ideas, new products, new services, and
okay.
I think many people should just do that.
I agree. And if anybody watches this and wants to comment on it, please reach out to us at eCommerce Undercover on YouTube. You can go to the ecommerceundercover.com website.
Yeah.
You can leave us notes there.
Definitely.
Reach out to us. If you want to be on the show, you can reach out to us as well. Michael at michaelwaitzemedia.com. Martin, how can people reach you?
On LinkedIn, Martin Ronfort, or my website is hello.dr.tech, hello.doctor.tech.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah.
DrTech.
And yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel, so you're gonna get a notification every time we put out a new episode.
Yep.
And let us know what's your idea in the comment section. That
Exactly.
can be great to see, like, how do you approach direct to consumers? What do you build? What's your ideas? And yeah, if we can help in any way, we would be super happy to do that.
Thanks again, Martin.
Thanks you, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.